about Jack the Ripper. So that's kind of how it goes. His name is Percival, and each time he gets to one of the sites where the women were murdered, then they come up as a ghost and they give their spiel, right? And so then they start interacting, and the whole play goes about that way. So tonight I'm going to give you the voices of 4 of the women, just because of the time frame, the excerpts, and I'll do my best in the Cockney accent. I'm sorry the actresses are better than I am, but I will persevere. That's what I can. And the script has actually changed, and I'm working on some edits to try to get it staged in New York City, and so I'm not as familiar with it as I once was reading it. But anyway, without further ado, we'll start with Polly Nichols. And so, like I said, the pieces reference the photographs. That's a really important kind of key point to the ladies, that they have been shown only in these photographs, when in truth they were mothers, they were business owners, they were just women who were trying to feed themselves in a lot of cases and survive. So the first lady, the first woman who was murdered, she was in her 40s. Her name was Polly Nichols. I am Polly Nichols. Hear me. By 12 years old, I was a dead-on sinner. At least that's what they say about me now. It's what the history books say. When they take any space at all, and I'm sorry, I'm going to spit on you a bit in the front row. I'm sorry about that. When the history books tell my story at all, what they like to talk about is Jack the Ripper. That nasty bloke who got nothing going for him, but gotten a few really good working girls that I knew quite well. Society is more concerned with showing my corpse photo. You've seen it. I know you have. Don't lie. Don't lie to Polly. I can spot a liar at 40 paces. Now, no one ever took my photo when I was alive. Imagine that. No one cared enough to save my image. But when my throat was cut, it made every paper from London to New York City. That's what got me famous. Ghastly murder in East London. The Daily Scream. Jack the Ripper, they called him. Know him better than you ever knew me, and more's the pity. But you're about to get an earful now, so prepare yourself. That nasty bloke took out my entrails and put him up on my right shoulder. Why the right shoulder? That I don't know. But I'm just saying, he wasn't a kind man, or clearly he was a bit disturbed. Is that what it takes to get famous these days? He was not a man of taste or kindness, but he is famous round the world for his dirty, dirty business. Reading his books and watching his movies, I know you are. You like it, those Johnny Depp and all those nasty little films talking about Jack the Ripper, copper. I don't think that's right. Say what you will, a human being has a right to their own body. A human being has a right to keep their body together, just as the angels did deliver it to this earth. Drab, they call me, dosser, whore. You can't think of a name that I ain't been called. Dross, devil's cunt. I particularly like that one. But let me tell you, there wasn't a man among them who said that hadn't already visited the very parts of me that they were mocking. Here's a secret between you and me. Those words could hurt if you let them. But I save a bit of skin right here above my left breast that no broken hand ever got hold of. I fought a man for that spot once, and I lost me 2 front teeth. But that skin is as virgin ever as the day of my birth. I was good and drunk the night Jack came for me, and I'm not sorry for it. Truth be, I don't remember much about that night. Well, I was standing there near Buck's Row, about like this. Didn't see when he came up, but there he was. I didn't smell him coming, so I could say he didn't stink, which was somewhat unusual for men that day. But maybe it's worse that he was a clean man, that he was sober, that he did all that cutting and whipping, stone cold sober. He says to me, says he, "Can we go somewhere?" I says, "Hello, right round the corner." He pays, we go, ugly skirt. He says, "Wouldn't you like to take off your bonnet?" "Why?" says I. He don't reply. But the next thing I know is his hands around my neck. Because you know, that's the way we did it back in that day. I couldn't be laying down one time in the bed. He did it like this, he called the dog rig. Just so you know. But that's when I felt his hands pressing at the back of my neck. Quick as a cat on a rat, everything went black. He made quick work of me, laid me down, took off my bonnet, took off my stockings, and did his work. He did the worst after I was gone. That's the way Jack the Ripper did it. But now, before you go feeling too sorry for Polly, for this old body, this great sinner, let me tell you my secret. Most of them toffers I never even took inside me. Who'd have think a man paying for a woman didn't know any more about the product than they did? Most were either too dumb or too drunk. I wasn't servicing the House of Lords. There were men off the docks, tradesmen suffering the loss of their mum's tit, or clerks, or strange accountants. They were actually men that didn't really know the difference between a cunt and a teacup. But anyway, back to my toffers. Here's how I do it. I grease up my thighs right there, right? Take him right in there. I called it my sweet spot, because sometimes I'd buy a sweet afterwards with my extra change. And oh sure, a few was wise on it. They cuffed me good, forced their way in. One tossed me down a set of stairs. One took me like a dog right up the place where no man has business doing business. If you know what I mean. I think you do, at least. I barely remember it now, though. And I had triumphs. I had a life that those toffers couldn't take from me. What I do when it worked, I didn't even wait to wipe myself clean. I just held up my palm and said, that'll be a shilling, as proper as the Queen herself. Because I earn my money fair enough. And that is Polly Nichols. Annie Chapman, she was 46 years old. She was very ill with consumption and a lung disease. She would have died, they say, within 6 months of her murder. But, so Annie is very concerned with the fact that she lost the time that she could have had staying alive. Annie was one of the women who was absolutely homeless, and she was doing what they called on the ropes. She would sleep at night hanging on a rope because that was what she could afford, and many people in London at that time did that. So this is Annie Chapman. I was on the run, having not paid for my bed the night before. Old John Evans at the workhouse, he said he planned to beat the money out of me. He'd done it before. I had everything I owned with me. I just wanted to make me bed money and get some sleep. I couldn't take another night on the ropes. And there were rumors about all the things I carried with me. But of all of it, I only loved the velvet. I traded a bit of myself for it, from that rag picker who used to stand down on Thrall Street. Mick, they called him, toothless dimwit. He didn't right want to turn loose of it, but I had my ways of influence. And I'll tell you, it's the best shag I ever did. I never regretted it. I carried that velvet with me to the moment I died. I tried to imagine what it would have been like to have an entire dress made of that material. Soft as a mare's nose. Couldn't help but remind you that in this life there are very fine moments. Not just fine things, but moments of touch. So beautiful was that velvet to my cheek. Everyone ought to know what that feels like. Not just rich people, everyone ought to know. But what you might not know is this. 1888, the year of my death, was a leap year. That means everybody, no matter how rich or poor, Catholic or Protestant, Jew or Gentile, grand lady or child woman, we get an extra day. We get a whole extra day of life. That's God's own mystery right there. You can't buy it or trade for it. God's own blessing, that is. For me, sick as I was, I wanted every day I got. I'm not a reader, no. I can't read a word, actually, but I can cipher. And I like counting. Was always good at it. My father taught me. And he was proud of what I could do in my head. And so I know I got days coming to me yet And I would like to have every one of them. Every single one of them that belonged to me, plus the extra day from leap year, if you will. Jack took all of it from all of us. For me, that makes 103 days he owes me. But nobody reported the theft of time, in the newspapers. All they did was print my photograph, cut my neck clean off, he almost did, sever my head. And then they printed this: the river has stolen her bladder and her vagina. God, what a mess he made of me. Them terrible photos, for all the world to remember me by. And I tell you right now, I want my body back. From you, and you, and you. Give me my body back. Take my image out of your eyes. I know you've seen it. I'm not yours to display. I'm not yours. Black my whites and white my blacks. Paint me over one colour and vanish everything you saw here. Have you got some of me in your eye, in your head? Have you? I want my body back. Tear me from these photographs and throw my bones heavenward. Float my skin on the sea. Let my hair fall loose over a mountain. Let my soul become a great downpour. Some part of me will land in a river. Name that place Womb. My babies were born there. My babies. Of this river so kindly carried away in its foul hands. I gave life, I did, and I loved. But you think I am nothing but a street whore who would have died anyway. Reskin me, unsee me, give me my body back. And that was Annie Jones. Elizabeth Stride, and she was one of